Hi, Morgan.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to chat with you today and like pick your brain and dive into all the things, because what you're doing is not only super inspiring to me, I think it's going to be really inspiring to everyone listening. No, I swear.
Okay.
So before we get started, because this series is really about brand deals, partnerships, creator growth, transparency. You know, I tell you all the time, this is not easy. It looks fun, and it is fun, but it's hard work.
Yeah.
But before we dive into, I think, the questions everyone wants to know, I want to start with a little bit about you. Like, kind of, first of all, how old are you? You know, how long have you been doing this content creator thing? And a little bit about your channel, what your audience comes to, all that stuff. Like, just give us a little bit about it.
Okay, so I am 25 years old. I live in Maryland, but I'm like 10 minutes from Washington, D.C., so they call it the DMV area. It's D.C., Maryland, and Northern Virginia. It's like a little pocket. I've been doing this for about 2.5 years now. If you ask me how long I wanted to be an influencer, it's hard to say because I don't like saying that I wanted to be one, but a long time ago when I started traveling in like 2018, I was like, I want to start posting about this. I post a lot about my travels. A lot of people ask me questions. Let me do this. So I had gained like 2,000 followers on Instagram. And at the time I was like, oh my gosh, like I am doing it. I am officially in there.
Yeah.
And then my account got banned. I still to this day have no idea why.
Instagram gods, they came down.
Absolutely. I think it was my boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, but we're not going to get into that. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I give up. I'm never doing this again. So I did give up. I stopped trying to, do the travel stuff. I still travel, just didn't post about it. And then randomly one day, I own restaurants with my family, and we had to do a partnership with a local arcade. I did the partnership, I filmed it, and then I posted it on TikTok, and I just called it a date idea. It wasn't one. I was with my coworkers, but that video went viral. So then I was like, okay, let me try this again. So the next week, I went to another arcade with my boyfriend that time, called it a date idea. That went even more viral. People were like, you need to keep doing this. And so that's what started it out. So technically, it was like my family's business, partially me just documenting my life. And 2.5 years later, now I am here.
Oh my gosh. So it kind of just, and these are really interesting stories because I hear this a lot. I posted something, I went viral, boom. I did it again, it went viral, boom. And TikTok has that effect. A lot of the TikTokers I work with, how did you keep the momentum? Like once you go viral, a lot of people will like be like, oh my God, I went viral. And then like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
How, was that kind of the flame? What is it, the expression, the candle that lit the match or whatever? Like, were you able just to like, is that what gave you the momentum to kind of keep pushing?
Yeah, well, I will definitely say I grew up in a very privileged lifestyle. So my family having restaurants, it wasn't an issue for me to go out and spend $100 to do something or whatnot. So literally I was like, me and my boyfriend, we had a very open schedule. Let's go on a date every couple of days. So like every like 2 or 3 days, we pretty much went out.
You're just documenting date night.
I filmed it and then I would just post it a couple of days later, and it just kind of kept going because more people wanted to know unique things to do. And
yeah.
I'm originally from California. So when I moved to Maryland, it's kind of boring. There was nothing to do. So when I first moved there, I made this huge list of like unique things and fun things that like normal tourists wouldn't take care of or like, kind of go and do. So I literally just went down that list and posted all of them, and everybody was like, you're finding all the gems, the hidden stuff, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, girl,
so you got real specific. Like you started digging in onto one thing and like digging into it. You didn't start posting the date and then posting a recipe and then posting like the random
No. Consistency,
and like super narrowed in a topic.
Yeah. So I went from like date ideas, like arcades and stuff like that, and then I kind of went into the food industry. And I was doing food for about a year, and then I kind of just had to stop that. There was a lot of stuff that went.
Yeah, phase it out.
Yeah.
So from the conception, you went viral. You started doing content. You people are loving you. Your audience is growing. What's your total audience right now?
I think I'm at like 510 or 511,000 on.
Okay, so 500,000 people in this globe have pushed follow on you.
Yeah.
How does that, is that like, what is that feeling like as having so many eyeballs? Like, I'm sure for you, it's like an everyday, like, whatever it is, what it is, you know? But do you ever kind of have a moment where you're like, all these people be watching my every
honestly, no. I think I think a lot of people assume that I would, but no. I think when I hit 300,000 followers is when my brain had a click and was like, if 300,000 people were in a room right now and they all were looking at you and watching you, like this is kind of crazy. And then it kind of just went away immediately. And I just I don't look at the numbers. I never looked at the numbers. A lot of times when people were like, oh my God, your video hit so and so 1,000 views, I'm like, oh, thanks for letting me know. I've never known. Because
I was like a little detached from that.
Yeah, I try to stay detached from it because I'm very big on not letting anything that I do in life change my natural character. And I feel like if I start to listen to the numbers and pay more attention to that kind of stuff, I might get a little airheaded. I'll be honest.
Or even self-conscious.
Yeah.
And like take away from that authenticity of being able to just be yourself because you're self-conscious of it. Oh my God, I love that. That's amazing. That's a really great piece of advice for anyone listening, like ding, ding. So from when you started to understanding monetization, I'm sure there was a moment where you're like, all right, like this stuff is doing good. Like, can I work with brands? Can I make money off this? Like, is this possible? When did you start kind of in your journey, like start realizing that you could start monetizing? And when would you say, if you remember, I guess, like, who was that first brand that kind of maybe either reached out to you or you reached out to? Like, how long into it? I don't know.
Well, I will say I'm very big on like curating your feed. So once I started getting into content creation, I made sure that I kept watching people who talked about content creation and talked about growing yourself as a creator. So I think that the moment where I realized that there was money in this industry, there was a beauty influencer. And I think she had like 12,000 followers, and she was telling her audience that she makes $20,000 per brand deal. And I'm like, 20,000, you have, 12,000 followers. And me, I'm looking at my page and I had like 100 and something K at the time. And I'm like, and I'm just doing stuff for free. I'm just getting exchange for food.
Yeah, you're like, wait.
So that's when there was a mental shift of, okay, I need to start asking for money, demanding money. And then the more I watched creators express how much they're making, I was like, no, like I really need to, get on the ball with.
So actually this series is helpful because the transparency helped you have a moment where you're like, well, if you could do it, I could do it too.
Exactly.
Like it kind of expanded you to believe subconsciously, like, well, why is this chick getting it and not me type of thing? How do I go about doing that? So I love to hear it because I think that's why we started this series, is to talk about transparency so someone else can have that little bit of an aha. Wait a second, like, it doesn't just have to be for everyone else. It can be for me as well.
Yeah.
So do you remember your first brand?
I do. My first brand deal was with a facial company. It was just like a beautician, an esthetician, and she gave me and my boyfriend a facial. I think we got paid like $300 for it, and I was just like, yeah, it was so crazy at the time. And so just realizing that there were people in my local area that were willing to pay too, because that was also a really big concern for me. I wasn't sure if I was going to get paid the same as other creators because I live in Maryland. I live near DC, and that's not a huge thing for content creators to get paid in that area specifically. But if you go to LA or Miami, it's like, that they're
in a different market.
Yeah. So it just was nice to know that I can do this.
So that first confirmation, and I know a lot of people with that first brand deal, like they feel lit. They're like, like I'm ready to go.
I was with my close friends on Instagram, like,
and I love the growth. So your first brand deal was $300. Would you say it was like a year into your journey?
Yeah, it was about a year.
Okay.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's put that in perspective, because a lot of people will try to, start something and try to, make money in the first couple months. And that's another big, like, guys, businesses take at least a year to break even or more to start seeing profit. So to set that expectation of time as well, not just you're going to hit and be the next, no, there's no fast way to the top,
Absolutely.
As much as people try to sell that.
Yeah.
So in terms of your biggest brand deal to date, is that something that you could share with us, where you're at now?
Absolutely. I will say this year, one of my New Year's resolutions was completely changing myself, my schedule. I stopped smoking weed. I stopped drinking, and just completely diving into who I am as a person and, building on myself. And then literally in January, I made the most amount of money possible as a content creator. I had one brand deal for $22,000, and then and then I had another brand deal directly after for $17,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was really amazing.
And what's so cool is because what you just said is that story from the other chick, the beauty girl that you saw, and she was in that 20 figure. It's interesting that you, I don't know if you believe in manifestation.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the only reason why I'm here right now.
Yeah, there's something to happen, because how is it the same figure?
Exactly.
How is it what you were like, oh, this is what she makes?
Yeah.
And then in January that came to you.
Yeah, and so now I was like, my next one is 100,000.
Yeah,
it's coming. We're gonna figure it out. Yeah.
So what do mom and dad or boyfriend or cousin or auntie or whoever, what do they say? What do they say when they hear a 25-year-old, just made a 20,000 plus 17, almost a $40,000 a month? What do they say to that? normal businesses aren't even hitting those benchmarks. Like, what does spam say? Like, were they always a part of the journey?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. My parents have been my biggest supporters since birth. They believe in manifestation. So my whole entire life, they've always poured into me. They told me if I want to be an astronaut, I'm going to be an astronaut. If I want to, own a hotel, a luxury hotel, I'm going to own that luxury hotel. So from like literally 6 years old, I was getting fed all this information of who I can be as long as I put my mind to it, as long as I do my own research and I get educated in the material that I'm trying to portray. So they're huge supporters. My mom always wanted me to be an actress. I was really shy. I did like a little toothpaste commercial when I was younger, and I went home crying, and I was telling her, I was like, I don't want to do this ever again. I'm super shy. I don't like it. And so she pulled me out of like the industry because she used to act as well.
Yeah.
And so now she's kind of like, I told you, like, I told you I'm gonna be famous, little girl. So no, I was.
But at your own pace, like in your own vibe, I'm like, where the toothpaste brands at? Like,
yeah,
okay, where you at?
Like 20 years later, like here I am. So my mom texted me this morning and she was like, your grandmother sent me one of your videos. I was going down your feed. You're just so entertaining. I could watch you all day. And I'm like, oh, wow, I love her. Yeah, and my dad, he plays golf a lot. So he's always talking about his golf buddies. They're like, yeah, they're talking about your videos and stuff. And they're always cracking jokes and blah, blah, blah.
Like, which is what I always like wonder too, because it's funny. My family, I love that you mentioned the astronaut thing, by the way, because my mom told me I could be an astronaut. She's like, you could be whatever. Anything, it's funny that I love that. When you said astronaut, I was like, oh my God, I've been there. But I think that like what's interesting is that our parents, as you start growing, as you start becoming, an adult, and you start also, not only living out your dreams and living with purpose, but start, financially being independent. That's what we want our kids to be. We want them to be able to grow a savings and one day buy a home and all the things. So I'm sure they're also, outside of, the proudness of what you've become, also proud that like, damn, she can, make ends meet. Like she can take care of herself and financially as well, and take care of that.
Officially. Because like I said, I grew up in a very privileged environment, and my parents, they sacrificed a lot themselves to be able to bring me to where I was. So at the end of the day, I have to pour back into them. They're the reason why I am where I'm at. They're the reason why I have the confidence I do and the manifestations that I'm able to bring to life. So I'm gonna take care of them for the rest of their life.
I love that. I love that. That just gets me all in my feelings about it. That's amazing. Oh my God. No, I think that's amazing. One of the things too, when it comes to being in this space at a young age, you are 25. To me, I'm like, you spring chicken. But you're out there, you're making it, getting work and doing stuff. I'm sure there's things potentially that maybe people don't understand outside of the money. They don't understand maybe the work that goes into it. I know sometimes people, even in our industry, like influencer, or like brand, have like a negative vibe to it. I'm in the industry too.
Yeah.
As a creator, influencer marketing expert, but also we got brand deals as well.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that term influencer? And how do you embrace it? Do you feel cringed by it? What are your thoughts on just that term? And I'm curious because that's what you do.
Yeah. And originally I, kind of how most people feel, it's a little cringy to call yourself an influencer or to tell people you're an influencer. So you'll hear me switch a lot between influencer and content creator.
Yeah,
just because naturally I used to always say content creator, but obviously as the industry changes, now you have UGC. So there's the term content creator, which means somebody who is creating content for a brand. And then you have the term influencer, which is somebody creating content for a brand, but they post it on their platform. So I kind of switch them now because they do technically mean two different things. I try to avoid saying influencer, especially if I'm not in a space full of other influencers, because then I'm like, oh, I just sound...
They don't know maybe what it means.
Exactly.
Gotta, something with others.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, there is the truth to the word. You are somebody who influences people to do stuff, to buy stuff, to go to different places. So I don't know. I guess now I'm a little indifferent about the term. I think as on top of that, TikTok it's a platform that allows people to be more real than Instagram ever was. No shit is real.
Yeah. No, I feel you. No, but people have always felt that way. They're like, oh, TikTok, like I can be more authentic, more raw, more myself.
Yeah,
of course,
a lot more transparent.
Yes.
So I think with TikTok allowing people to really be themselves a lot more, the term influencer is kind of going back to being like a normal thing to say because you're not seeming so, I guess, airheaded about being one.
And now it's a business.
Yeah.
Like you see, wow, like how are people growing in this space, in every niche, right? Whether it be date nights or pet, or whatever.
Yeah.
In terms of, I guess, like just what you would want maybe people to understand about the work you know, because it is work. Whether it be pet peeves that brands have done or things that maybe brands have done that you wish you're like, you know, people always try to educate creators.
Yeah.
How about educating some people on the brand side, like things that we all could do like a little bit better? Is there any sort of, I don't know, thought on what you think brands could be doing better in this industry to help support creators like yourself?
Yeah, there's two main things that come to mind. The first one is, you know, if a brand has set deliverables and a set due date, that's totally fine. But if they're going to give the content creator a due date and then the content creator gives them a due date on the payment, or they're saying they're going to pay net 14, net 30, etc., then that's what's expected. So just making sure that it's fair on both ends. You know, whatever you tell the content creator to do, as long as the content creator was on time with their work, then you should also be on time as well. I mean, they should be on time, period. No matter what, but you know, you still have to be honest about it. And then the second thing is allowing the content creator to do the work that they know to do. A lot of times, you know, you might get a concept like this is kind of the brief that you have to follow. And then a creator, you'll use the brief and then put it towards your audience because that's where you're sharing it to. So you know what your audience likes, what they'll engage with. And then you'll send it over to the brand and the brand is like, no, you have to change this. Can you take out this? Can you cut out da-da-da-da? And it completely changes the person's video or their post. And then when they actually post it, it gets no engagement because, again, the creator knows what their audience likes. So almost just telling brands like, hey, if you're going to hire this content creator, give them a lot more creative control because they know what they're doing.
Yeah, like, and trust stuff.
Yeah. And then don't, you know, feel away whenever the video performs poorly because you're the one who kind of did take over all of the instructions and changed it around to what you wanted it to be.
This is, yeah, and I advocate for that all the time. Like, y'all know you're humans. Like, let you do your job. It's like, don't micro.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, what's like the craziest thing maybe a brand has asked you like to do or like, you know, or a deliverable or being like, I know we get the free stuff all the time, but has any brand ever just given you like a crazy deliverable that you're like, are you high? Like, I'm not doing all of this for this.
Absolutely.
Has there been, tell us, you know, not name dropping any brand.
Of course.
But what are some, like, what's probably like something crazy a brand has asked you to do?
There's like so many. I think it's really just the excessive deliverables. Like, I want you to post every single week, at least, you know, up until the date of our restaurant opening, you know, and then you have to, and it's like, why would I do that?
Like a whole channel sponsorship.
Yeah. Or it's like, I want you to post every month and, you know, come in and do a review. And then the next month you have to post another review on the place and the next month. And it's like, you have to understand the organic part of being a content creator. If I'm somebody who posts reviews and I highlight businesses on my platform, I very rarely highlight a business twice or go back to the place again and make a video on it. So why would I do that for your brand? Because my audience is going to see that, say it's an advertisement, and then they're also not going to engage with it because they think it's inorganic. But I think overall, it's really just the deliverables.
When it's excessive
deliverable or no pay. Yeah.
So something I think that a lot of creators don't do enough of is tell the brand no, knowing when to walk away.
Yeah.
You know, and standing up for your worth, your value, like being like, wait a second, this ain't working for me. These deliverables, they ain't it, you know? So is there a time that you can remember that you've actually had to tell a brand no, even though it's scary because you're like, you know, maybe you are walking away from 3,000, but your minimum is 5, or you're walking away from 5 and your minimum is 10. Like, has there been a moment that kind of comes to mind?
All the time. I will say all the time. Yeah, I'm a very firm, I keep saying I'm a firm believer.
Yeah, but it's true.
I know my worth and I'm going to stand by it because the moment that I, you know, kind of have a thin line between what I'm willing to do and what I'm not willing to do, that's the moment that people are going to constantly take advantage of me and I might not realize how much they're taking advantage of me. So yeah, there was actually a campaign where it was a major campaign. There was a lot of content creators in the local DMV area who were on, you know, part of this project. And I found out from other content creators that they were offering everybody different deliverables. And I'm one of those people where I know my worth, but I need you to see your worth. So when they were telling me what they were not getting and what I was kind of like, hey, this is what I said to them. You need to try this as well. And, you know,
helping each other out.
Yeah, but they didn't do it, but that doesn't matter. But besides the point, the brand was asking for too much and they wanted to, you know, be able to re-edit the content and and I just kind of was like, no, like I'd rather just not work on this campaign than to have you kind of take advantage of my work. So then, of course, everybody went to the campaign. Actually, they had a lot of engagement. The place is honestly like really fun. I wanted to go so bad, but that's okay. They have other locations in other areas.
Yeah.
And I've had so many people like, Morgan, can you please review this location? Please. Like, I've seen all these videos, but I need your honest opinion because that's how I created my brand, was from honesty and actually telling people like, hey, this place is cute. They got cute little seats and Instagrammable pictures and stuff, but the food is terrible. So that's how I built my audience. And I had to just tell them, like, unfortunately, guys, like, this is not a place I'm going to support. You know, I was supposed to support them, but, you know, it's okay. I'll do another location and I'll review that space for you instead. So I could still at least give back to people. But I say no a lot. There's a lot of things that I'm left out of. There's a lot of influencer events in the areas that I'm not a part of, but I'm okay with that because I don't have to be a part of it. I'm building my own lane, and I know that one day I'll be in the space that I want to be and that I need to be. And it might not be the lane of where everybody else is.
Create your own space, create your own table.
I'm now hosting influencer events myself. I'm like, let me at least make sure these people are getting.
There you go. And it's like when there's no seat at the table, we build in our own.
Exactly.
You know, so I love that. And saying no is hard.
It is.
Saying no to money is hard. You know, because you're like, am I gonna have a good month next month? You know, is it coming? That scarcity mindset, that fear of, well, maybe I should just do it. Maybe I should just go below.
But, you know, I do want to be very transparent about it as well, that I have the privilege and availability to say no. I think it would be a different situation if content creation was my full-time job and my only job. But I have 2 full-time jobs. I do content creation and then I own restaurants with my family. So because I always have a backup of, I have a salary pay, I'm always going to have this amount of money in my bank account. I think it's a lot easier for me to say that's okay for me to not, you know, skip out on a couple $1,000s. But
it's a really good point. It is a great point, because when you are doing it full time, you have that fear of what is next month. What if next month I don't make, you know, what it is I need to do, right? So maintaining that second plan B, or that entrepreneurial, like second, you know, of income has kind of made you have that space.
Exactly.
But there's also sacrifices, I'm sure, that go with having a second job, right? And absolutely heartache that goes with like time management, probably being more pickier in your brand deals.
Yes.
So how do you balance that? Like, or not in terms of like workload, but more like mental. Like, do you ever sometimes want to give one of them up, or maybe say, you know what, I'm going to put the family thing, I need to dive in more on this? Or do you always feel like, no, I want to be able to go both lanes separately? Like, as an entrepreneur, how does that?
I will say I never, ever, ever want to give up. That's not an idea for me. And when I did give up on the whole travel content creation thing, and now I'm at where I'm at, I was like, don't ever give up again, because I could have been a content creator a lot sooner if I never gave up. So I don't, you know, I just find a way to balance the two. I do have my mental health days where, like, some days I literally will wake up and I'm like, I'm not feeling good. I don't want to record today. I don't want to go outside today. I'm going to respond to emails for 1 hour, and then I'm literally going to go watch a movie, because going to the movies is like my sweet space. And then I'll just call off for like 2 days or whatever. So, but it is, I'm allowed to and able to, because with the restaurants, all I'm really doing is like meetings, shadowing, making sure people are doing their job. So it's not like a very tedious business or thing that I have to do, which allows me that free time. But I think managing, you know, I'll say it's more so knowing who you are. I self-evaluate a lot. I reflect on who I am, how I can be a better person, So with that, I know when I'm not in a good space, I know immediately I'm not in a good space. And then because of that, I tend to take my emotions out on other people, my boyfriend. Or I take it out in my work and my content. There's a point in time where I was really depressed for like 3 months straight. It was the first couple of months that I did content creation. It was mainly because I wasn't exposed to so many people seeing me on social media. So there was a lot of negativity. There's a lot of negative comments. And I've always been that person where if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. Like, why are you taking the time to type? So it was almost this thing of, why are human beings like this? And why do people feel the need to say stuff and So I went through this whole depressive episode where you can literally hear in all of my audios where that happened at, because there's no energy in my voice. I'm not cracking jokes anymore. I'm just kind of spilling out information. And I promised myself that I would never be put in that space again. So I stopped creating content for other people, because it was a lot of, hey, I want you to go to this restaurant. Can you please review it? And then I would do it because I wanted to feed into my audience and give them what they wanted. And that wasn't making me happy. So now people are like, girl, what's going on? You know, somebody asked me recently, like, what are you doing for Mother's Day? What can we do for Mother's Day? I said, I'm saying hello to my mom. We are doing the seafood boils. So I don't know what you're going to do, but you can figure it out yourself, because that's not the content I'm going to.
It was also draining you too. Like that balance of like wanting to be valuable, wanting to serve, but also being like, I need y'all to kind of just show.
So I'm a big advocate for putting your mental health first, but also listening to your brain. If your brain is telling you something, listen to it. If you're tired, take a nap. If you want to stay up all night and pull an all-nighter because you feel like your creativity is active at nighttime, do it. Don't let people sit there and tell you like, girl, you need to get some rest. How, you know, are you getting your sleep? Are you getting I'll get my sleep when I want to get my sleep. Let me, at this point in time, if I want to work, it's okay to work as hard as possible, or for 24 hours as long as you want, without it being a negative thing, as long as you are, again, listening to your body, listening to your brain, and then doing what it asks you to do.
You are beyond wise. I'm gonna like rewatch this just to like get, it's like you're coaching me, you're giving me a pep talk, and I feel it because it's true. So you obviously are super self-aware, you know, all the things that you mentioned, and you do a lot of reflection. How does like those negative comments, right, that you mentioned, I know you were also very vulnerable with us mentioning like you went through, you know, a depressive period where it was really hard for you. I think a lot of creators do have the ups and downs of mental health, imposter syndrome. I literally met this girl the other day, almost 1 million followers, gorgeous, all the things. Like the imposter syndrome was just seeping out of her, being like, you know, and I know it takes work to shut down those voices and be able to be like, you know what, go away. Or like, have you ever, maybe in the beginning of your journey, or do you still like, is imposter syndrome something that has ever tried to come out and rear its head at you? And how do you silence that voice? Like if it does, or a little bit about that. Yeah. Something that I think a lot of creators are facing.
I think when people started throwing the numbers at me more is when I kind of started to, you know, feel a little indifferent with myself and a little bit unsure of who I am and the content I'm creating. But whenever I do have those spurts, because they happen very rarely, I talk to my boyfriend. Me and him are very big on communication. He's my best friend. So it's easy to just chat with him, and then he'll kind of like do a quick reminder of like, girl, you over here talking about this, but you just did da-da-da-da-da. You know, you just signed a deal with da-da-da-da-da. You just had blank reach out to you and you denied them. Imagine denying a brand like that. And then I'm like, I am that girl. Thank you. Like, hold on, let me bring it back really quick. I am that girl. And same thing with my mom. She's also my best friend, and so is my dad. So, like I said, I live in a very encouraging, supported household. So, just being able to have that open space to speak to people and be vulnerable with them. I'm naturally very transparent and vulnerable, so that's why I like even bringing up the depression thing. Like, girl, I'll talk about it.
Yeah, I know. And the money thing, because when I originally asked you, I'm like, can we talk brand deals? Can we talk money? And I know it's weird. And I don't know why it's weird. I know it feels weird to talk about money. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we were conditioned, maybe as women, to like not speak about how much we make, or, you know, maybe it feels braggy. I'm from the generation that like, I don't talk about any of that. I'm like, you know, this feels uncomfortable. But why? Why does it feel uncomfortable to talk about money? Why does it feel uncomfortable maybe to negotiate our worth? Mm-hmm. Why do you think that we are afraid to talk about money? And that's why I created this series to talk about, look, she got a $300 brand deal. She got a $20,000 brand deal. You know, she's growing. There's times she said no to brands. She's walked away. Mm-hmm. You know, why are we uncomfortable with money?
I think it is a conditioning thing. I agree with that. My mom always taught me as well, like, you know, don't tell people what's in your bank account. You know, people either can think that you're rich, people can think that you're poor, but it doesn't matter what you are. Don't let people know that. Mm-hmm. But I think that's a little different. Like, to this day, I would never say, like, if somebody was like, well, how much money do you have in your savings and your checkings? I wouldn't tell that. But if somebody, like, for example, asked me, what's your biggest brand deal or what's your smallest brand deal? I'm open to talking about it. But I think because that actually changes something, it actually affects change. Like, you know, as me telling you what's in my bank account doesn't affect you anyway, but me encouraging you to ask more for your worth because you see that somebody of a same caliber is creating that amount of income on a monthly basis, then that assists you. So,
because it gives people that aha.
Yeah.
Like, wow, you know, Morgan, look at her. She's young. She's from DMV. I look like her. You know, I could do what she does. Yeah. She is this, she is that. You know, we have this, you know, when you see yourself also represented, or you see people that are making moves. You know, I know that I feel like it comes with a big responsibility. Power always comes with responsibility. Influence always comes with responsibility. How do you feel about that responsibility sometimes of, you know, being true to your authenticity, but also, you know, you got people watching you. You have people saying things, maybe young children, maybe young girls that are watching and seeing. Do you ever feel responsible, or do you feel that those that have high levels of influence, there is a level of responsibility?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, it's a little different because I've always been an open book, like outside of social media prior to me doing content creation at all. Like, I know when I had moved from Maryland or from California to Maryland, it was really hard for me to make friends because I talked a lot. I wore bedazzled jeans, and apparently that like wasn't in at the time. So that's besides the point. But people just thought it was weird how open I was. Like, if somebody was talking about a guy or something in a classroom, and I wanted to pitch into the conversation, they're kind of like, why would you talk about that? Like, why are you being so open about it? Yeah. So it's a little different because I'm naturally very open, I guess, if that makes sense. But I think for other people, when it comes to them having this responsibility, like some people do have to watch what they say because their impact is a lot more strong. I don't really feel like my impact is that powerful when it comes to me talking about myself. I know that I'm very open about like how I feel towards brands or how I feel towards, different businesses and stuff like that. But I don't think it impacts like somebody who's in the beauty industry. And
Totally. But like if you say a restaurant's food is terrible,
well, okay,
could that have repercussions?
it does, yeah.
And I'm curious, but it's also being honest, right?
Yeah.
Also like telling people,
Yeah.
do you ever kind of like think, oh, I shouldn't say that because of a brand, or I shouldn't say that because of this? Like, again, there's no right or wrong. I'm sure there's a mixed flow of emotions.
Yes.
But you say a restaurant's terrible, I ain't going to that restaurant.
Yeah.
Morgan tells me that, like, I'm not going. If Morgan tells me to go, I'm going.
Yeah. I know starting out, I was very harsh. I was very... it's actually very cringe for me to watch my old content.
All of us. Don't be sorry. Go back on YouTube and look like insane. Yeah.
Not that. But I'll listen to my voiceovers and I'm like, why was I so mean to that business? Why did I have to? Because, even though I didn't like the food, I didn't have to say that, So as time has gone, I've grown. I stopped cursing as much because I also don't, and, it's just not. You're mad. Yeah, I just don't need to. And I stopped being so harsh with my critiques. If I do feel exactly how strongly as I did a couple of years ago, I just word it a little differently. I'll express that I don't really like it, or, this is why I didn't like it. I'm not going to sit there and say that this ice cream was terrible and just leave it at that. But now I'll say I really didn't enjoy this ice cream because it has a very thick sweetness taste. I like ice cream that's like soft serve.
Someone may like thick sweetness, so that way they can make that decision.
Yeah.
Totally
So
get it.
I think it's also just understanding your wording and, understanding that it is a business. Because I've had people make, TikTok videos of my family's restaurants. Part of my job was to watch the Yelp reviews and the Google reviews.
Yeah.
So I see when people say stuff and how it does kind of sting a little bit, and you do have to like separate yourself. But at the same time, knowing that I'm attacking somebody's business, knowing that my influence can shift, if they have a great grand opening or a terrible grand opening, I have to put that into consideration. And also, just make sure that people understand too, like, I'm having this experience, you might have a completely different experience. So still test it out. If this is something that you want to do, please do it. Don't always listen to me. I'm just trying to give you as much of my personal experience, but also give you as much information about this brand as possible so you can make your own decision.
My last question.
Yes.
So, because this has just been amazing. I could literally probably be here with you for hours, but I want to spare you, is the advice to the younger self, especially when it comes not only to the journey, but to knowing your worth, standing up for yourself, being able to, ask for what you deserve. Advice to younger Morgan, 19, maybe 18-year-old, 16-year-old Morgan. She's just starting out. For the people that are listening and just starting out and, are going to probably have their notebooks full from today's combo.
Yeah. I would say go harder. Like whenever you feel like you are putting in as much work as possible, do that 3 more times and then you're there. Because I think the only regret, if I have a regret at all, is like I said, giving up at that point in time, because I think my career, I would be so much further in it. I would be a lot more mature in the industry as well if I didn't have that like 2-year gap where I just kind of completely gave up on content creation. So to tell my younger self, just keep doing what you're doing, keep manifesting as well, but also be a better planner, because planning is actually what's also really helped me out. So what I'll do is, where do I want to be next year in July? And in July, I want to have this car. You're going to think I'm crazy.
No, go for it.
I recently saw the super cute pink Lamborghini. And I was like, when I was like 6 years old, a lime green Lamborghini was always my dream car. And then as I got older, I got more realistic with life. And I was like, why would I ever have a Lamborghini or own a Lamborghini? And ever since I saw that pink Lamborghini, I have seen Lamborghinis everywhere. Mind you, Lamborghinis are not popular in DC or Maryland, but I have seen 3 on the road the day after I saw that pink one. And then I started looking online. I was like, well, how much is a Lamborghini? How much is a Urus? Let me see. And now that I see it, I'm literally like, give me like a year and a half. I'm going to have one. So in a year and a half from now, check out my Instagram page. Yeah. I'm going to have a Lamborghini. But just knowing that I'm going to have these goals by this point in time. And then what I do is 12 months from now, this is what I want. Okay, so that means that at 9 months, I have to do this. At 6 months, I have to be here or else I'm not on track. At 3 months, I have to do da-da-da-da. And then every single month, I sit down like prior to the month starting. I write out all the goals that I want to happen during that time frame. I have a little album in my phone that I check every single morning. I go through and I check the motivational videos. I check my goals. And literally, I think 2 days ago, I had looked at my May goals and I had like 5 of them and I've already hit 3. I completely didn't even realize that I hit 3 of them. Yeah. So just, making sure that you're not only manifesting in your head, but you're putting it on paper.
I love that, to be able to go back and refer, because if not, you forget. We're all scattered. We're like, I want to do this, and then you forget.
Exactly.
But you have it written.
Yeah, so I wish I did that when I was younger.
Oh my God. Well, I'm going to do that now. Thank you so much. This has been so awesome. I hope for having me. Yeah. And I'm happy we finally got to meet you.
No, literally, it's like I was totally fangirling. I wasn't going to say it, but I was like, I was fangirling when I saw that you were going to be here. I was like, I don't care how much she's charging. I'm booking that session.
Let me tell you, you never know what those moments happen, right? Because you book that session, and then now I'm like, oh my God, she's mad cool. Oh, yeah,
right now we're doing a podcast.
And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be at DC. Like, want to go get lunch? Like, you don't know. And people are afraid to invest in themselves. People are afraid all the time. Like, they don't do a booking. It's not to say book a coaching with me, I'm gonna be your best friend. It's not that. Yeah. You never know when you invest to put yourself out there. Like, when I saw your name on my coaching list, I was like, oh, who's this girl? Okay, cool. Like, no idea. And Clarice was like, oh, I met with her. She's really dope. So then we went, obviously, like, that led to you coming here, and then who freaking knows, right?
Yeah, like I literally, when I tell you, I was telling everybody about our session yesterday. I was like, I felt like I knew a lot about the industry, but like there was just these small words that you had mentioned, like the detective thing, that really stuck with me. When I was talking to my mom on the phone last night, I was like telling her, I was like, that really stuck with me, Mom. Like, I'm going to start looking at things in a completely different perspective now when it comes to reaching out to brands and negotiating. So you are just very impressionable. Like, you are an impressive person. You're very impactful, and you genuinely, like, you are changing lives. And I hope you understand.
Thank you. Well, I'm very fulfilled in what I do. I love what I do. I think entrepreneurship and leadership, one of the biggest things about being a leader is helping others discover their own potential. Yeah. And that is leadership, is saying, hey, you got potential. I want to help you like live it out. Kind of like how your mom did and your dad did. My mom was the same with me.
Yeah.
But dad a little bit different. He pushed me in other ways. We're very, very close, but he wasn't very much. He was always like, be a doctor, be a lawyer. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's my grandma.
Yeah.
She still tells me, she's like, you like to debate. You should still be a lawyer. Grandma, I'm 25. I'm not going to law school. No, I totally get it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much.